This episode is brought to you in part by the National Restaurant Association.
Welcome to another episode of On Foodable, and this is The Ticker, where we cover the latest breaking news and insights in the restaurant and hospitality industry. And today we're actually doing a roll-up series of videos that are leading up to the National Restaurant Association's big mega show in Chicago. I've got Billy Deck with me today out of Chicago. Billy, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
So Billy, you know, we get a lot of stories in the restaurant space of how people get started, you know, in the pre-show. I was really intrigued with yours. Tell us about how you got in the business. What was kind of the thing that sprung your passion for the restaurant and hospitality industry?
You know, I started really early. In sixth grade, I was a coat check kid at a local Chinese restaurant just because I wanted to make my own money. And I really liked the idea of being social with the community, the neighborhood, and helping people. When it got warm, there were no coats, but they let me fry egg rolls at street fairs again, making my own money and being immersed in this action with the community. Every year I just progressed because I loved it. I got to be a busboy, a host, delivery kid. I started being a waiter, and I just loved it. That sort of turned into a way in which I could pay for college because I had to do that, and then eventually law school. So really at first, there was definitely a love affair with it. I liked to make money, but it was all supposed to be a way in which to help me be something else, which I thought I was supposed to be, a lawyer. And then somewhere along the line in law school, I took a risk, opened up my own places. And by the time I graduated and became a lawyer, I had to make a choice because I couldn't be good at both. And I found that the 250 employees that had been built by then with a couple different venues showed a lot of promise and definitely excited me way more than be a lawyer. So I started to commit to that, and I started Rockit Ranch with my partners.
So basically you had the choice of going into law or into hospitality. You chose the fun route, which is always great to see. But it's interesting too. We get a lot of people that are, you know, have those kind of challenges on an ongoing basis. It's interesting that you took that route. That's great.
Well, the thing is, with restaurants, it's about solving problems quickly and delivering immediate gratification. And being a lawyer, you're not really solving things quickly. There's a whole drawn out process, and you're not necessarily surrounded by people you're making happy all the time. So
that's a good point.
The restaurant business was definitely in line with my personality and my love.
Yeah. So Billy, you've been around the restaurant show there in Chicago for about a decade with your organization, and you're hosting some pretty cool events this year, or co-hosting. First, before we get kind of rolling on the show itself, let's talk a little bit about maybe some of the events that are happening around the show this year that you're involved with.
The one that I love the most is this next generation event. The reason I like it, it's brand new. It's intended to bring together those sort of new, inventive, gutsy, young, innovators that are leading the industry with new sorts of change and just sort of inventive process. So you have cooks, you have operators, mixologists, people from around the country that are just starting to make a name by doing things a little differently on their own, which I think is super important because there's just been this large injection of passion and talent into our market, into our industry, and they may not think they need this amazing infrastructure of networking possibility and informational, absorption that they can really benefit from. They think they can just, keep what they have within their own little bubble, and that it'll continually grow. But what they don't realize that I found very helpful was that taking that passion and that excitement and that strength and combining it with the unlimited amount of information and resource and help that exists at the show is an amazing combination. So I thought it'd be cool to just bring people from around the country together on Monday the 19th at Rockit Bar and Grill, one of my places, and just what if we all got into the same room and we all connected and we combined that with everything else that the restaurant show has to offer. Possibilities are endless.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that event is called the Upper Stratosphere event, I believe. and being hosted. It is an invite-only event, though, just to be clear, for our viewers and listeners. So when you look beyond those types of events, you know, as an operator, as a guy that's kind of grown a business literally from scratch, you know, what are some of the key values that you're looking at each year that the show comes around that you try to achieve?
Well, it's what's great is there's so many different prongs of offerings, and I try to make sure I'm doing the best I can within each, and also keeping a level of openness and sort of freedom to allow whatever happens to happen at the restaurant show, because again, there are just so many things that it offers. You can't really totally plan exactly what you're going to get out of it. But I definitely do a couple sessions. It just completely, you know, the educational sessions, whether they're in my expertise or completely not, I definitely jump into a couple of those every day, because it just opens me up. It just sort of, even if I think I know everything about it, I'm walking away all the time with new approaches, new ideas, new tactics, new tools, and it really does help. If not immediately at the business, I find myself pulling them out somewhere along the way, maybe sharing them with another operator or somewhere within my company, and it does become fruitful at some point. Another thing that I love to do is anything related to networking. I mean, it's the entire reason we are where we are today at Rockit Ranch. I started with nothing, and every business that we you know launch is a product of relationship building. It's a product of connecting with people, you know, many times when you don't need them. It's just it's a process that you just have to really embrace. It has to become part of your DNA. If you're going to make it in this world, not only in the restaurant business or as an entrepreneur in general, relationship building needs to be, you know, a big part of it. And what the National Restaurant Show does is it does all the work in bringing all these people together, not just in your position, but in every single position around you. So you really want to leave some space open to network organically on the floor or in these great little events that they provide where it's all put together for you.
Yeah. Hey, so Billy, you had a kind of an interesting angle on the show this year. You had talked about in the past, you know, it's been some of your executives and your team, your leadership team that typically attends the show, but you're taking a little different approach this year.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
So I've been going for over a decade, and I find that when I'm walking through the show, half of the time I'm sitting there going, oh, I wish so-and-so could see this. Oh, this would be amazing for so-and-so. Oh, if they just, you know, were with me now, I can engage in a conversation and sort of develop whatever I'm looking at and perhaps see if it's applicable to what we need or may need in the future. And instead of just trying to remember these things or trying to relate the importance of value of what I'm seeing or hearing, I decided that the reason that is happening is because these are bits of information that are super critical nuggets of value that apply to all different parts of the company, whether it's HR, whether it's culinary, whether it's PR, it's accounting, it's legal, you name it, it's all there. And it's just almost unfair for me to enjoy all of that and then become this sort of, you know, funnel point and sometimes a stopping point when if I brought key players from all these different divisions throughout the company, we have 650 employees right now with many different channels of information flow that are, you know, required to really make the front lines be super empowered. What if I brought all those people and so that they could be empowered and educated and just enlightened and take that forward. So that's something we're doing this year for sure, which is totally different. I'm bringing like a couple dozen people for my company. And I think that it's going to be one of the best investments made this year in anything we do, because that education and that ignition of passion is priceless.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's actually kind of a growing trend where the industry is starting to involve a lot of organizations that are maybe outside their wheelhouse, because you know ideas come from so many different places, as you've kind of alluded to in just the building of your own business. Hey, Billy, when you look at someone that is going to go to the show for the first time this year, kind of take yourself back in time and give them a tip. So Billy's tip for a first time show goer, what would that be?
Wear comfortable shoes because you're going to want to walk everywhere. And there's like a bajillion square feet of amazingness.
Yeah.
2, don't eat because there's a ton of food there. And you really want to just take little bites of everything. Even if it's not what you sell, you want to understand, how are they packaging it? You know, what are the components of it? How does it feel? How does it make customers feel? 3, just set some reservations, some commitments with certain sessions, educational sessions that are in your wheelhouse if you think you're an expert, and some that are completely out of the box. You want to do a couple of those because you want to break up your day. And then the other one is jump into those networking things, because the networking opportunities are, again, these intangible, invaluable moments that don't give you necessarily an immediate gratification, but can prove to be invaluable for your future growth.
Great. That's a great recap, Billy. We want to thank you so much for joining us here on Foodable today. For all of you, make sure and check out our lower thirds about how you can attend this year's National Restaurant Association show in Chicago. Thanks for stopping in on this episode of On Foodable.